and were maimed during the 1945 bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. We hope you appreciate our solemn efforts to honor all those affected. August 9th is especially auspicious because it also is the International Day of the world's indigenous people. We are very pleased to introduce the Esquimalt singers and dancers. We give them thanks for allowing us to be here in such a lovely setting on their territorial home. August Thomas will now lead them in their performance. We've had a very bad history of mistreating the Japanese during World War II. Our Japanese were evacuated to internment camps in the interior, and many lost their property, many were discriminated against, cultural things were destroyed, such as the Japanese garden here. It has since been rebuilt by concerned citizens, but we have a lot of debt to pay. I would like now to introduce you to Sugio Kurishima of the Victoria Nikki Cultural Society, who will now say a few words of greeting.
Thank you. I'm here to, address the core of the reason that we're here, and that's the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And as you probably know, on August 6, 1945, the United States used the first atomic weapon on Hiroshima, Japan, and 3 days later, the United States struck again, this time on Nagasaki. In the Hiroshima bombing, 2/3 of the city was destroyed. Within 3 miles of the explosion, 60,000 of the 90,000 buildings were demolished. Clay roof tiles melted together. Shadows became imprinted on buildings and on other hard surfaces. Metal and stone melted, and people were vaporized. Of the estimated 350,000 people living in Hiroshima at that time, approximately 70,000 died immediately from the explosion, and another 70,000 died from radiation within 5 years. Almost all the victims were civilians living, including some of my relatives. The justification for the bombing was that it would save millions of lives by bringing the war to a quick end. However, many authoritative individuals, such as General and then later President Eisenhower and General McCarthy, dispute that claim. By June 1945, Japan had been militarily defeated. Many believed that Japan would have surrendered by the fall of 1945 without the dropping of the atomic bombs and without the invasion of Japan. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were chosen as bombing targets not for their military value, but for the shock and awe value. The Americans wanted to shock the Japanese leaders into accepting an unconditional surrender. The pros and cons of the use of the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki is a hotly debated topic. You just need to check the internet to see the extent of this debate. But for me, the dropping of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki are events that we should remember, not only for the tens of thousands of civilians that I think were needlessly killed, but also for the fact that this event started the nuclear arms race. These bombings should remain a constant reminder of the devastating, destructive power that nuclear power weapons possess, and the reason why we should try to eliminate all nuclear weapons. So in closing, I'd like to thank the organizers for holding this event to honor the victims of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki atomic bombing, and to remind us of the continued need for nuclear disarmament and world peace. Thank you.
You should have stayed at home yesterday. It can't describe the feeling and the way you lied. These games you play, they're gonna end it all in tears someday. Enola Gay, it shouldn't ever have to end this way. It's 8:15, that's the time that it's always been. Got your message on the radio, conditions normal and you're coming home. Enola Gay is a little proud of little boy today. This kiss you give, it's never ever gonna fade away. Enola Gay, it shouldn't ever have to end this way. Enola Gay, it should have faded our dreams away. It's 8:15, that's a time that it's always been. We got your message on the radio, conditions normal and you're coming home. Enola Gay is the mother proud of little boy today. This kiss you give, never ever gonna fade away.
My name is Megumi Matsuo Saunders, and we are from First Metropolitan United Church. We are very honored to be here every year here too. We can share the story of children of the atomic bomb. 5 years after the A bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, a professor of Hiroshima University decided to have a project to collect stories of children, the impact, what happened to children. So this book, Children of the Atomic Bomb, about 2,000 stories, what children remembers after 5 years.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Koryetev. I'm going to be reading a piece of writing done by Kikuko Yamashiro. She wrote this when she was in the 5th grade, but she was 5 years old when the atomic bomb fell. Okay, is this better? Okay. On that morning, my brother and I were playing on the 2nd floor. There was a big flash, and at the same time, suddenly, the house fell over. Everybody got very excited. My big sister got out first, and helped all the rest of us. She helped my brother out first, and then she helped me. One after the other, we were rescued. We ran away quickly, and everybody was streaming away in all directions. Pretty soon, we began to see people who were hurt. Since there were too many people, we went into the sea to escape. When I tried to get up out of the water, I put my foot on the stone wall, but I fell back into the water. Then someone helped me, and I got up on the shore. Then we found some soldiers sitting on the rocks and eating their lunch. When we passed in front of them, they gave us their lunch. I was very happy, and I sat right down and ate it. I got thirsty, but there wasn't any water, so I just did without it. We kept running in the same direction. It began to rain. At that time, Mother was with us in a cart. We made a little house out of tin roofing and slept there. The next morning, my brother woke me up and said, "Mother has died." I was surprised, and I went to the place where Mother was and called, "Mother!" But I couldn't hear Mother's voice. I was sad, and 2 or 3 times I called Mother, but no matter how much I called, she didn't answer. I fell across her chest and cried and cried. After that, the funeral started. I hated to go away from her side, but I had to. As soon as the funeral was over, we went to the hospital. For a long time we stayed there. And then one morning when we got up, my brother had died. After that, one after another, they all died, and only my two brothers and I were left.
Hi, I'm Timothy Henderson, and I'm going to be reading an excerpt from a boy called Hiroshi Yoshioka. He was a grade 8 when the atom bomb dropped, but he wrote this when he was in university. All the various griefs and afflictions which descended upon me as a result of the A-bomb happened in but a moment of time, according to a scenario which I never approved, and they will be haunting me all my life. My class was assembling at East Parade Ground to help break the ground for cultivation. As soon as the flash came, I was tossed into the weeds. My lunchbox and hat were blown away. I had a feeling flames were breaking out among the weeds around me. Practically every house was belching fire. My body hurt as though it had been stabbed, and when I took a good look, I found that the side of my face and both hands were blistered from being burned. I hurriedly decided to go home and began to walk toward Hiroshima Station. Only later did I realize that my home, which was near the explosion center, was already blown away. When I arrived there, thinking that my mother was probably burned to death under the ruins of our house, I turned tiles one by one, but I didn't find anything that looked like her bones. I imagine my joy when several days later I saw my father, who had been away in Osaka. He told me my mother had been out of the house and only suffered slight injuries. Nothing in my whole life had ever made me as happy as this. However, my joy did not last long. Although her injuries healed at once, my mother died after 24 days because of radiation sickness. My older sister took mother's place and cared for her 3 brothers while we were all going to different schools. The peculiar attitude the people have towards children with no mother, that is, abnormal children with hearts as hard as stones, precocious children who are good at fooling people. It was hard to put up with the attitude of those who regarded us as such children. There was no sadder childhood than one There's no sadder childhood than one which is stared at with a sort of curiosity as well as pity and caution. The atom bomb reduced all non-living things to ashes, and yet it cannot, with all its heat, consume the spirits of us who survived.
So we're the Furusato dancers, and we're going to do one dance. It's called Hokkai Bon Uta, and it's a It's a folk dance that that is danced at festivals. All the odori that we do are dances that are done by the people, as opposed to the more classical dances that are done by professionals. And we have the honor of having Rina Al Nahas accompany us with her big family choir.
August 6th and August 9th are dates that we must never forget. On August 6th, Hiroshima was destroyed by the first atom bomb. In the 3 days following, the shocked and disarrayed Japanese government was unable to arrange a swift surrender. The United States dropped another bomb, this time on Nagasaki. Respected historians now say, from reading internal governmental documents that have surfaced, and that prove the Japanese were discussing how to surrender in the weeks before the total destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These bombs were totally unneeded to end the war. From a military point of view, they were barbaric, unnecessary acts, and from a humanitarian point of view, it is beyond comprehension that any government could inflict such horror on an already defeated enemy. Canada had a major role in the production of those two bombs. The Consolidated Mining and Smelting Company in Trail, British Columbia, manufactured and exported the heavy water required to make these bombs explode. Canada continues to be committed to the environmental and military ravages to our planet, as we yearly produce over 400,000 tons of CO2 in the mining and fuel fabrication of uranium. Today, 9 countries have nuclear bombs: the United States, Israel, Pakistan, Russia, France, Britain, India, and North Korea. At least 40 other countries have the ability to build their own nuclear arsenal. Today, we are still very much living in the nuclear age. There are 435 active nuclear power reactors operating in 30 countries. 150 new reactors will be completed by the end of 2016, 4 years from now. As well, there are 330 proposals for new reactors awaiting approval. This year, after the Japanese tsunami set off nuclear explosions in Japan, Germany shut down 7 of its oldest reactors. They will not be restarted, leaving Germany with 6 active nuclear reactors, as well as solar and wind, providing Germany with the energy it needs. It is time for other countries to follow Germany's example. Even in Japan, where the population has suffered so severely, the government is allowing the damaged nuclear reactors to be reopened as soon as they are repaired. It is obvious we have stunning abilities to produce terrifying weapons, yet a society that can send probes and cameras to outer space at exorbitant environmental and monetary cost Surely this society is capable of finding solutions to those many problems that drive us to war. The United States spends over $140 billion a year on building and deploying more than 23,000 nuclear weapons. This amount of money is what it would cost to provide health care, education, food, clean water, and safe sewage treatment to every one of the 7 billion people who live on planet Earth. We humans embrace dramatically contrary personalities. We love and procreate. We hug and support our children and our friends. But we also fear, hate, inflict pain, and wreak destruction. On days such as this, we make an attempt to come to terms with our destructive urges. We recognize that they exist in us all, and that we need to be constantly working to build a society that enhances our strengths rather than our weaknesses. Canadian writer June Callwood was a model of positive aspects of our humanity. Just before her death from cancer, she was asked if she believed in God. She replied, "I believe in kindness." In each of us is that part of ourselves that is deeply concerned for others, ready to stand up for those who need help, and to confront our governments when necessary. It is this mindfulness for others that can calm the storms of political fear-mongering and selfish, short-sighted actions of people and governments. It is this mindfulness for others that can build a healing society and a healthier planet, resistant to destructive forces. And now I'd like us all just to be silent for a moment.